So Karl Marx believed that there were two classes of people in a society. Does this sound a little familiar? The 99% versus the 1%, which is absolute nonsense because that rules out the middle class altogether. But it's all part, this whole Occupy movement is all part of the Marxist theology. It's right out of the Marxist playbook. So you've got the bourgeois versus the proletariat. And here's what Karl Marx believed in. He believed in class warfare. It has to occur in order to create the conditions that lead to revolution. Marx was a revolutionary. Now, in many cases, Marx pushed for armed revolution. That's what he wanted. And most revolutions, Marxist revolutions, have actually started with an armed clash between the bourgeois and the proletariat. In our case, it is a cultural revolution that is occurring, but it is Marxism in a very pure form because it is class warfare. How much have we heard about it's only fair for the wealthy to pay their share? Now, you know, first of all, I've said this to you before, but this whole concept of fairness is sort of like beauty, and it's in the eyes of the beholder. And thinking in terms of fairness is like thinking a bull won't charge you because you're a vegetarian. You know, this concept of fairness really is it's which side of the fence you're on. But fairness, it's only fair. Well, have you ever looked seriously at how much the wealthy in this country pay? Like the top 10% in the income brackets pay 70% of the taxes in America. And the top 5% pay like 36% or 38%. So where do we get this concept that it's only fair for the wealthy to pay a little more? It's class warfare, folks. That's what I'm trying to point out to you. It is dividing the nation emotionally into two classes of people, the wealthy or the bourgeois, and all the rest, the proletariat. We're seeing that unfold right now. Karl Marx also believed that revolution was essential to bringing equality in a society. In other words, making everybody equal. He thought that revolutionary leadership was essential only until the revolution had succeeded. You see, Marx, again, what Marx advocated can never be implemented and never has been implemented. But his theory was you bring about a revolution, there has to be radical, tough, committed leadership to lead that revolution, but then once the revolution is over, then everybody just sort of becomes the same. There's no central government, and everybody does what's right to take care of their neighbor. Does that sound like the nature of mankind? This is such, I mean, my goodness. It's never, look at Katrina. Look how people acted in Katrina when there was nobody to maintain control. Look what happens when man is without God and when man is left to his own devices. Look at how evil mankind can be, because the prince of this world is Satan. And we are influenced as humans by that. And then after the revolution, there would be no central government. Everyone would just work together. Does that sound possible to you based on what we know of the human nature today? It won't work. It never has worked. Now, this is what Karl Marx said. Religion must be destroyed. He said religion is the opiate of the masses. They get high on religion. And he also made the statement, my objective is to dethrone God and to destroy capitalism. Right? Dethrone God and destroy capitalism. You could not have a God from which our rights come in Karl Marx theology. You have to get rid of God. Does it make more sense now why the Christian faith, the faith upon which this nation was founded, is under such an attack today? It is because of this movement towards the theology of Karl Marx. You have to get rid of God so that we don't have anyone to rely on other than the elite that ultimately surface in an environment of a Marxist revolution. And that elite is normally the party. Karl Marx, he said, people will govern themselves without a central government. People are instinctively good and will do what is necessary for the greater good of their society. It is the most ungodly theology. It is just absolutely ungodly. No private ownership. He made the famous statement, from each, according to his abilities, to each, according to his needs. One of Karl Marx's most famous statements. We'll take from one group who have the ability to produce and will give to another according to their needs for what this group has produced. Income, consumer products, wealth, we'll take from this group and we'll give to this group. Is this sounding vaguely familiar to what's happening in America as we see this unfolding? And then Marx said his ultimate objective was a utopian society that was classless. A classless, a utopian society. It's never been achieved, and it is incredible to me the number of people who still subscribe to this theology. It has never been achieved. It's never worked. No one's ever gotten there. And all these revolutions that have occurred have ultimately wound up with an elite class ruling over everybody else. And that's what will happen in America. It will be called the federal government if we do not stop it. Here was his theme. Workers of the world unite. Organized unions are the solution. Have you seen all you need to see on the influence and the power and the direction of the unions in America today? Okay? Workers of the world unite. Sound like the Occupy Wall Street movement a little bit? Right out of the Marxist playbook.